Hey friends, and welcome back to Hopeful and Wholesome. I have a really juicy one for you today. Because if you are someone who's done a lot of work on yourself and you've followed the wellness accounts and you tried the protocols and you've invested in the supplements and the testing and the programs and the biohacks and all the things, and you've got the schedule and you've done the macros and you're doing all the things, but you're still feeling dysregulated or tired or inflamed or disconnected or just not like yourself or not like you could feel, or like your body just won't cooperate with what you want it to do, this is for you. Because we have all been victims of a really broken wellness system. And the wellness and the healing industry right now is just louder than ever. There's so much noise. And there's so much conflicting information. And somehow people are listening. And I think women we've never been more confused, felt more confused, overwhelmed, or disconnected from their bodies because there's so much noise out there. There's so much noise out there and so much really dangerous things out there and really dangerous perspectives out there, if I do say so myself. I was watching a video the other day it was a stitch from a guy talking about how terrible this was, but it was of a very, very, very well-known big name health influencer guy talking about how terrible raspberries were for you. And I'm like, this is where we are now. We're telling people to not eat raspberries and how terrible they are for you. It's really mind-blowing. So we are living in a time where healing has become optimized and quantified and aestheticized and industrialized. And there's no blame, shame, or judgment here. This is just where we are. I think this is just the reality of where we are. There's always a new protocol. There's always a new trend, always a new must-have supplement, another new expert telling you what your body should be doing or what you should be doing for your body to live until you're 262. And our healing, our wellness, our healing has turned into performance and productivity and compliance and self-surveillance, like just picking ourselves apart. And I feel like we've gone from one toxic chapter of our life and diet culture in the 90s and early 2000s to another toxic chapter of our life where it's like really damaging health and wellness. You should do this or that type stuff. And even wellness, even holistic wellness, something meant to reconnect us to ourselves and do things in a quote unquote better, cleaner way, has just become another place where women are pushing and managing and overriding their bodies. That is what brings me to this conversation today, because the issue really isn't about calling everything wrong. That's wrong. It's not about calling all these tools, because the fact is some of these tools that people are talking about, they do work for some people. They don't work for everybody. And so it's not necessarily that everything is wrong, that all of that is wrong, but it's that the energy leading the healing is out of balance. That's the thing. So it's not wrong to try the trends and the protocols and the new supplements. Those things aren't inherently wrong, but it's the energy leading the healing. It's the energy behind that's out of balance. And this is true for everything, right? This is true for everything that we do. Our business and our relationships and all, it's the energy behind it. It's not the thing we do. It's who we are when we're doing it, the energy behind it when we do it. And this is so true for how we treat our bodies. So most modern healing is driven by a distorted masculine energy, one that values control over connection. It values action over attunement. We value data over true discernment. That's a big one for me. And then it values the results over the relationship. Well, if I get the results, it's all going to be fine, versus like, how do I feel with my body and about my body, the relationship. And so many women approach healing the same way as they approach their business, their goals, their lives. It's all about effort and discipline and force, and this unspoken belief that if the body isn't responding, that I just have to push harder. I just have to keep and I have been guilty of all of this too. Like this isn't like a shame on you thing, because I've been there too. We've all been victims of this, because it is everywhere. It's pervasive. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. The fact is though, that this pressure and this force, the effort, the discipline, all of that, this is really not where true healing happens. The healing happens through safety And this is not something that a lot of the modern healing world is teaching and preaching. Because we can talk about the intermittent fasting and the cold plunges and the breath work and all these things. If your body doesn't feel safe to do those things, it is going to be more detrimental to you than reaping any of the benefits that they're promising you, even with these quote healthy habits. So what I'm seeing again and again in my work is this: we are shifting paradigms here to not diving into more healing strategies, more protocols, but it's this shifting paradigm into a different orientation to healing, one that restores the feminine as the leader. And I've seen so many posts. My feed, my algorithm is a lot of like mystical woo stuff. And so there's been a lot of talk about, the feminine rising. And really it started probably last year, 2025, but it's leading up into this big shift in 2027, which we'll talk about. I actually have a big episode coming about that in February. But it's this idea, it's a reality, not just an idea, reality of the feminine rising. And so for me, this is where I see the new paradigm, the shifting in wellness and healing, is that we restore the feminine as the leader and the masculine as the supporter. That's how we as high-performing women heal the body. And that's what I want to dive into today. The real question is what happens in the body when the healing stops being about the control and it starts becoming about the relationship. That's what this episode is about. It's this shift from this masculine-driven, forcing, controlling my body and making my body do what I want it to do. And it becomes about the relationship, the feminine as the leader, the relationship with you and you. That's what it becomes about. So let me first start with this, the difference between masculine and feminine energy. And I want this to be kind of the architecture of the healing that I'm leading with in this episode. I want to get really clear about what I mean when I talk about feminine and masculine energy, because these words have been misused and misunderstood and honestly oversimplified in a lot of places. And I want to clear some misconceptions. So first of all, masculine and feminine energy are not about gender or personality or roles, anything like that. They are essentially organizing principles and how life moves and expresses and self-regulates. So feminine energy is the intelligence of the body. So this is like the domain of the body. The masculine is the domain of structure. Feminine energy governs sensation, intuition, and emotion, and rhythm, and cycles, and your inner truth, your inner wisdom, your inner knowing, your instincts. So this is a receptive energy. She receives information continuously. This is how she receives information. Even when I say those words, like for me, I don't know if you're watching this on video, I'm like moving my body. Like that's how I feel when it's just like this, like that's that kind of energy. That's the feminine. That's what it governs. This is the intelligence of the body. So in the body, the feminine energy communicates through symptoms and sensations and emotions and cravings and fatigue and intuition and desire and resistance. Right? Notice I didn't mention anything there about labs or spreadsheets. She speaks in feelings. That's how the feminine energy communicates to us. And all of those things that I just said. Now the symptoms part, yes, like we feel the symptoms and we talk about the symptoms, but a lot of these other things, the sensations and the emotions and the intuition, is that like all those things I was just talking about? The conventional world kind of just like poo-poos those things, right? They're kind of secondary if talked about at all. And when the feminine isn't honored, it gets louder. We oftentimes think it's just going to go silent, but really it just gets louder because it's going to speak to us through exhaustion, anxiety, hormonal chaos, through inflammation, sometimes through a shutdown. These symptoms are how the feminine is speaking to us. These are expressions of the suppressed feminine intelligence of our bodies, because the fact is, your cravings and your fatigue and your emotions and your intuition, they've been telling you things. They've been communicating with you, but when you choose not to listen, they're going to get louder and they're going to end up potentially yelling and screaming at you. So that's the feminine part. The masculine energy, this is the container that holds the healing. So this is, like I said, the domain of structure. So it governs like direction and protection, boundaries, execution, containment, support. So the masculine asks, what's the aligned next step? How do we hold this safely? How do we support what's true? So the masculine energy shows up in the body as the routines and the protocols, the supportive protocols. I want to be more clear on that. It shows up as clear decisions, as boundaries with your energy. It's the structure. the containment of your emotions, for your emotions. So this container that I'm talking about, this structure, it's not saying that the masculine is dominating the feminine. Like there is no domination here. Like there's no hierarchy. One's dominating or higher than the other. The masculine listens to the feminine. As I said in the beginning, the feminine leads, the masculine holds the structure. The feminine leads, the masculine holds the structure. That's what I want this to be about. It's not about the control. It's not about the structure. It's about the relationship. So we have the structure with the masculine, but the feminine is leading. The masculine is listening to the feminine. And then the masculine can build around what she reveals. We're leading with the feminine. We build around what she is telling us, what the feminine is telling us. Understand what I'm saying? This is how we put the two together. Where the healing breaks down is when the masculine tries to lead without the feminine. When we prioritize the structure over what the feminine is actually telling us, what the feminine is revealing. So the misorder, it looks like this. We design a protocol before we're listening. We're giving the strategy before we provide safety. We do the action before any attunement. We control things before there's trust involved. That's where the misalignment happens. This is where the breakdown happens. This is where we prioritize the masculine over the feminine. And the body resists. Because the body knows that the feminine is going to lead. If we're not allowing the feminine to lead, this is why you can do the protocols over and over and over and over again. You can try all the protocols and supplements and all the things, all the structure, the things, the routines. And when they don't stick, they don't land, we haven't listened to the feminine at all. We haven't listened. We haven't provided safety. We haven't done the attunement. We haven't built the trust. That's where we have to start. So your body will not cooperate with the plan that it doesn't feel safe inside. It's not going to. So the order matters. When we're talking about the body, the order matters. The feminine has the truth. The feminine's going to reveal the truth. The masculine is going to organize the support, the structure. And then the healing just kind of happens naturally. We listen to the feminine, we let the feminine lead, and then we use the masculine to provide the structure. When that order is reversed, the healing is like an exhaustive process. And a lot of times too, it's futile because it's not going to stick. Not saying it's not going to work at all. You can get some relief. You can get some relief from your symptoms and maybe some healing will happen. But it's either A, not going to be at the level that you know is available to you, or B, things start to come back, or they come back and show up as different things. When you honor the order of letting the feminine lead and let the feminine reveal the truth and let the masculine organize that support, that structure, that's when your healing becomes inevitable. It's when we honor that order. And once you understand this, once you feel this in your body, you can start to see why so much of the healing work doesn't stick and why so many women are looking for a different way and why this is exactly where my work lives. And it's exactly why I'm bringing this new paradigm, why my work has been evolving over the past 4 or 5 years into what it is now, is for this exact reason. Yeah, I started out with just the masculine, the structures, the protocols, all that. And I recognize in myself, I recognize in the women I work with, like there's pieces missing here. I recognize a lot of my clients, like they've done a lot of this stuff before. And then I would see a lot of clients when they've done this stuff before and they come to me in this different mindset. Oh, well, it's working differently for them. So I recognize there's this energy behind what's happening, right? There's this energetic piece that we're missing. There's this intuitive piece that hasn't been looked at. There's this emotional piece, like all of the feminine. It's the feminine that's missing. And this is where we are stepping into this new paradigm of wellness. If we look at how the healing got distorted in the first place, the kind of this distorted masculine wellness, this is where we look at the old paradigm. And this isn't to shame or blame, right? This is just to call it out for what it is. Our healing in the old paradigm of where so much of the wellness industry is now and the holistic health space is now. It's protocol driven, it's symptom focused, it's trend led, and really it's compliance based. And so your body, if we look at healing like that, we look at healing in that way, we're treating your body like a machine or like a problem to fix or like a system to hack. Like it's none of those things. Our body is not a machine. It's not a problem. It's not something to hack. That's why that biohacking thing, that term is like, it's like nails on a chalkboard for me now. And I know I've had people on the podcast talk about it, but the term itself is so like, to me, because I don't want to hack my body. My body is not a system to be hacked. And when we're leading with that, that's how we're treating it. So when we're forcing workouts when we're exhausted, if we're doing these aggressive detoxes without building that safety first, if we're, quote, fixing hormones without addressing your identity and the patterns that led to those unstable hormones, if we're ignoring our intuition because the plan says something different, the plan says otherwise. So even though my intuition is telling me one thing, I will always tell my clients to listen to their intuition. I had this conversation with a client the other day. She was messaging me, asking me a couple questions about where she is in her protocol and a couple things that she was feeling. And so we were adjusting some things. And then she told me she'd decided not to do her magnesium because her magnesium levels were fine. And I still recommend people, even when your levels are fine, I think just my recommendation is always doing magnesium just because we get so depleted and we don't get a lot of it in our food. But my response to is, hey, I always recommend using it. If your intuition is telling you otherwise, you lead with your intuition. I will always give you my recommendation. And if you are telling me you feel otherwise, your intuition is first and foremost. We're going to prioritize your intuition. I'm not going to say, well, stick to the plan, even though your intuition, right? That is the old way of doing things. That's the old paradigm. Or we're staying in the protocols that feel wrong because, well, the data says XYZ. The lab said XYZ. So we're going to stay in this protocol, even though you feel like complete trash, or you feel like your body's like, now granted, there's a line here, because sometimes, yes, you feel worse before you feel better. And that was the conversation I was having with my client. There's some weird things happening. Okay, let's back down on the dose. Let's go down to this just one thing. So there is a discomfort involved. But if you were in it and this is like a long, steady thing where your body, I've had clients before, I had a client who had a really bad, this was a couple years ago, a really bad reaction. A couple clients, and it happens. It's not unheard of. I mean, you can look it up. There's studies about it, with berberine. And I had a couple clients that were using it within a few months of each other. And both were like, oh, I just feel like, okay, let's not take it. You've took it. You felt bad. You backed down on the dose. Still felt bad, got off of it. Now you feel good. Okay, your body's saying no. So no, right? We're not going to stay in protocols that feel wrong just because the data says, right? This is the old paradigm. The cost of this, staying in this paradigm and leaning in this way, treating our body like a machine and just leading with this protocol-driven, symptom-focused, compliance-based way of doing things, is your body is going to go into defense mode. It could freeze, it could shut down, it's going to feel resistance. And a lot of times I feel when clients are experiencing symptoms and we have to back off, there's other things that we need to do so your body feels safe, especially if it's something that I know is something that's pretty mild, that shouldn't be, your body probably shouldn't be feeling this way with this particular thing. Okay, there's a resistance there. Your body has a resistance. What do we need to do to help it feel safe to continue on this path? Right? So that the minerals are doing their job or the gut restoration is doing its job or whatever it is. The symptoms, here's the way I see symptoms. When symptoms persist, it's not because the protocol was wrong. It's not because the supplements were wrong. It's not because you weren't compliant. It's not any of those things. When I see symptoms persist, it's the relationships. It's the energy behind it. That's what's wrong. The relationship with yourself, with your body, the energy behind it, that's what's wrong. And the fact is, you can't heal a body that doesn't feel safe being listened to. Your body is so wise and so intuitive, and you can't heal a body that doesn't say being listened to. If you are not listening, actively, intentionally listening to your body, it's like, I don't feel safe to do any of that. You're never listened to me when when this symptom popped up, when I was trying to tell you this. So why would I feel safe when you're trying to do all this other stuff? It's not going to feel safe. So what does feminine-led healing actually look like? So that's the old paradigm. This is the masculine-led way of doing things. It's not even just the masculine. It's like the wounded masculine, like the distorted masculine. We lead with that. What is feminine-led healing? Not getting rid of the masculine altogether. I'm not saying that. But if we lead with the feminine, what does that actually look like in practice? Feminine-led healing means we listen before we intervene. Let's listen. And this is why I have my clients fill out a ton of questions when I'm doing it. I had to have an intake form, and I have this energy mapping intake form that I do, and it asks a ton of I ask my clients, like, get into the right headspace and a mindful space to answer these questions, because it's really deep, like energetic, emotional questions, because that always helps me tie things together to the physical things that I ask in these other intake forms. So I want to listen before we intervene. I want to listen. Hey, y'all, we'll get right back to the episode. But first, let me ask you this. You've built a vision that others admire.
and you've built something that you're really proud of. But behind the scenes, your body feels like it's lagging behind. It just can't quite catch up to your brilliance and your mission that you have. That late night second wind, the foggy mornings, the hormone shifts, the endless push and forcing. You can't strategize your way out of that. And you already know you don't need more supplements. You don't need another supplement stack. You also don't need another side hustle disguised as self-care, because nobody wants to have their health as a side hustle. This is about recalibrating your entire ecosystem. And that's why I created the Quantum Reset, a premium 3-month high-touch healing experience for visionary women who are ready to feel as powerful in their bodies as they do in their business. Inside, we decode your nervous system, your minerals, your hormones. We read your labs like the sacred text that it is, so we have actual answers. And then we pair that with deep energetic recalibration, subconscious release. We use gene keys, we use human design, and true embodied healing. This isn't about fixing burnout, because that's not what we're doing here. This is about becoming the woman whose body is powerful, whose body is completely electric, whose energy, clarity, radiance finally matches the size of her mission. If you know your success isn't meant to cost you your vitality, and you're ready for a science-backed, spirit-led reset, then the Quantum Reset is your invitation. So check the link in the show notes or send me a message on Instagram, and let's bring your body back online with your brilliance. Now, let's get back to the show.
To the signs and the symptoms that you're telling me you're experiencing, also these patterns and thoughts and beliefs that you have, and let's put those together. That's the listening. Feminine-led healing also looks like creating safety before strategy. So we're always going to provide safety first. I'm not going to jump into this hardcore like gut detox, whatever, parasite cleanse, like right out of the gate for somebody. We have to provide the safety first. And there are steps. There's too much to get into in this episode, but there are steps to take to provide that safety. And here's the other piece of that, is to honor readiness. And sometimes you're not ready. And I have that with clients. So I have clients who, of course, because we're human, we want to feel good and we want to feel good yesterday. And so we get into the protocol, maybe they're in the mineral protocol and they start to feel like, oh, my body, their body kind of starts like, too much too fast. Okay, let's slow down and back down on the dosage. It's going to take longer to get through it, but let's back down for a little while. Sometimes we stay, on that lower dose of the minerals for a while until your body feels ready. We're going to honor the readiness. I'm not going to say push through. If you're feeling like crap and your body's like freaking out, like let's give it a minute. Like it needs a second. And yeah, that might mean it takes longer. So what? We're going to honor the readiness. And which also, on the same note, is letting the body reveal the pace. I'm going to let your body tell me how it wants to go. And I have some clients who, I break down when I do a protocol, like that's the masculine, the structure of the protocol. When I do a protocol, I have it broken down into different stages. And so it's not all just, take 52 different supplements at the same time and do these detox things. It's not all at the same time. There's different stages. And so I give my clients options for a couple of the stages if they want to combine the, let some of them overlap with like, okay, the minerals might overlap with the gut or whatever. And I let them decide. And some of my clients they're like, oh, I feel fine. Like I'll just start this one now and I'll let it overlap. If it's too overwhelming for your mind, if it's too overwhelming for your body, we just break it down. We go slower. Let the body reveal the pace. Here's the other thing. Working with your cycles and not against your cycles. Understanding your cycles. And when I say cycles, this is like multifaceted here, because yes, this could be your hormonal cycles. I work with women who have hormonal cycles because, every woman has a hormonal cycle. Even if you're menopausal, you still have cycles. And so we want to work with your cycles. And also when I think cycles, I also think just natural rhythms. And this is why I bring in the human design piece, because we also have natural cycles and rhythms of how we do and be and are creative and are creative beings. And so I want to work with that and help you understand how to work with that. Another way, feminine-led healing, what it looks like, is addressing the emotional energetic load. And this is the piece that I brought in to my work over the past handful of years that I recognized was missing. Because again, I led with the masculine structure. I led with the protocols, the compliance-driven stuff, like I've done it that way. And yes, is a certain level of results clients can get, but it's not the holistic approach that we say that it is. It's really not. If we want to talk about holistic, the whole body, we have to address the energetic and emotional load. You have to. That's part of it. You are not just a physical being. We are emotional, energetic, spiritual, mental, but we have different layers. So we have to address the emotional and the energetic load. and how that's impacting us on a physical level. And then the last piece here, looking at feminine-led healing and what it looks like, is understanding that your symptoms are communication. They're not something that you have to fix or get rid of or judge or hate or feel bad about. They're simply communication. And this is that feminine way of looking at the body and not seeing our body as a machine or something to hack or fix, but seeing symptoms as communication and something to listen to. And like there's a message there, right? That's feminine-led healing. Now, I want to make a clarification here. I want to make an important statement here about feminine-led healing. So sometimes when we hear about feminine and masculine energy, we hear about feminine as kind of that lean back, ease and flow. And we can kind of see it as this like passive, totally unstructured and la-di-da, like that. This is not what I'm talking about. This is not passive or unstructured, or I'm just going to like close my eyes and kumbaya and hopefully everything works and do nothing. Like that's not what I'm talking about. Feminine led does not mean that the masculine is absent. It means that the feminine is leading and the masculine is listening to the feminine. That's what it means. This is an important distinction because I don't want to make it like one exists and the other one does not. Just like in the world, in life and business and all of it, the feminine and masculine, they both exist. You can't have one without the other. This is like the yin and yang of life, of the world. It's the same. So I'm not saying we're just doing feminine right. The feminine leads, masculine listens. So here's how you integrate both. Here's how we put both together. Here's how I put both together. I lead with the feminine, but I do absolutely use the masculine, right? Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing the labs and making the protocols and all that. The difference is the masculine is going to serve the body. It's not going to override the body. That's the difference. That's the paradigm shift here. We're listening to the feminine and letting the masculine serve the body, what the feminine is telling us. I'm not going to override it, use the masculine to override it. And so when I'm leading with the feminine, this is how it shows up in my work. This is just my work specifically, how it shows up. I'm using intuition and human design, the energetics. This is the feminine led. I'm using that. I'm using nervous system regulation. I'm using identity and subconscious reprogramming. I'm using emotional patterning and repatterning. I'm using safety and timing and truth, intuition. Like these are the pieces that I'm using to let the feminine lead. Then I'm going to use the masculine to support it. So the labs, the functional labs, the really targeted customized protocols, the clear structure. I have a pathway, I have a structure that I'm using, I have an order of things we're doing things in, the precision and the tracking in a strategy that's going to reduce overwhelm. These are the masculine supportive structures for the feminine. I'll say it again, what I said at the beginning, the order matters. This is important. The order matters. Because if the order doesn't matter, then we're going back to the old paradigm of the pushing and forcing and treating my body like it's a machine and something to be fixed and hacked and whatever. The order matters. We create the safety. We listen to the body. We decode the signals, right? We want to do all of that first. Then we can apply the structure in service of the truth that we just found out when we created the safety, listened to the body and decoded the signals, right? And this is why I announced sometime last year, I don't know, I don't remember, maybe first half of the year, I announced that I was no longer doing just the labs. And this is why, because you can apply the structure to anybody. But if it's not in service to the truth of you listening to your body and decoding the signals that your body is sending you and creating the safety, the structure's probably just going to do crap. Like it's probably not going to do a whole lot, or it's going to do what it's going to do and then it's not going to do anymore. You know what I mean? So this is why I no longer do just the labs. People come to me. I finished the clients last year that came to me for just the labs, and that's it. If you want to do the deeper work with me, great, and dive into the energetic things and human design things, great. If not, that's fine too. I am no longer available for doing the word that's coming up for me is half-ass. And I'm not saying that I was doing half-ass work before, but for me, it's like a half-ass approach because it's not putting all the pieces together. And if I'm going to create a structure, I want a structure to be in service to you, the truth of your body and the truth of who you are, because I've listened to your body and decoded the signals and created the safety. And then we can apply the structure, and then we can adjust things based on the feedback that we're getting, not the ego or not because, well, the lab said and though it's said, but based on actual feedback. The data is important. I don't want to say that the data is not important. The data is important. I love the data. The data helps me decode and listen better, but it doesn't replace the intuition. It doesn't replace listening to the body. So when we allow the feminine to lead, this is what shifts. This is why the feminine-led healing is what is going to change the healing outcomes when you choose to step into this paradigm. And when this paradigm is able to go mainstream, is because when the feminine leads, your nervous system downshifts. When your nervous system downshifts, you now feel safe to lead. When your nervous system downshifts, you now feel safe to heal. Your hormones regulate more easily because your nervous system has downshifted and you feel safer to heal. Your hormones are going to regulate. Your minerals are going to rebalance more sustainably. Your digestion is going to improve. Your energy returns naturally, and your body stops bracing for impact. Your body feels safe, and you start to trust your body again. And those things really go hand in hand. Because when your body feels safe and you learn to listen to your body and decode all these things for yourself, you build a sense of self-trust within yourself. When you trust your body, you can lead it in a more empowered way, in a more resource way. And it's because you let the feminine lead. When the masculine supports that, your body feels held rather than like rigid and like, bleh. Your body feels held. Your decision fatigue decreases because I don't have to sort through all the crap that's out there in the wellness world and decide like which one of these wild things should I be doing to help my, IBS. You don't have to have the decision fatigue because I've listened to my body. I've created safety there. I've downshifted my nervous system. So now I feel empowered making decisions. I feel confident. I feel secure. I feel safe making decisions for myself. And your healing feels sustainable because your progress is integrated instead of being forced. That's why it's sustainable. So when your identity shifts when you shift into the paradigm of I have to manage or fix my body to I can actually trust my body, this is when your biology responds to that. This is when your biology can reorganize and restabilize and recalibrate. When you shift from I have to manage my body, I have to fix it, or I have to hack it, to I can actually trust my body. That's the shift. And that's the feminine-led shift. So I want to leave you with this. After this really deep conversation about feminine and masculine energy and our healing, ask yourself these questions. And I really challenge you to reflect on these, like maybe come back to this when you have a chance to maybe write it down or, type notes in your phone or something. Where have you been forcing? Where have you been forcing your body to do things in a certain way or heal in a certain way? Where have you been overriding your body? Where has your intuition been speaking, maybe quietly? Maybe it's been loud and you've just been telling it to shut up. But where has your intuition been speaking quietly but going unheard? And then what would change if you actually led with listening instead of fixing? What would change if you led with listening instead of fixing? So going back to what I said about the beginning, the feminine-led healing is about relationship. I want us to just let go of the notion that we have to control or fix anything about us. It's about relationship. That's the feminine-led healing paradigm. And this is the work that I do, is helping women come home to their bodies, helping them integrate intuition with strategy, which is, we talked about on the show in business, how we do that in business. My work is to help women do that with their healing, with relationships with their bodies, and to help them create safety so that their body can actually heal. That's what it's about. I want to help women come home to their bodies and integrate their intuition and create safety so that they can fall in love with their body again and fall in love with their life again. When you are leading your body from a place of self-love and self-trust, the level of fulfillment in your life just exponentially increases. And that's for me is like the real magic of the work. Like, yes, I want you to feel good in your body. I want you to trust your body. I want you to look good in your body. All of those things for you, whatever it is for you. I want you to have an unlimited energy, all that. But for me, it's optimizing this vessel that we have to carry the mission forward. And we optimize the vessel and we feel safety and empowered and we feel good and at home and trust in our bodies, that we create this really magical vessel to carry us through this life so that we can experience life to the fullest. We can love ourselves and love our bodies and love our life and experience life to the fullest. And the joy and the fulfillment and all of those things are just unbound, unlimited. And it starts with this work. This feminine-led healing, the listening, the coming home to your body, all of that. So if this work is speaking to you, I'll put some links in the show notes, as always, for you to see what speaks to you. I have my little quick one-off sessions, my energy reboot session, the frequency recalibration session if you want to dive into the Healy technology and get your energy field, your aura, scan, all of that. My big, deep program, the quantum reset. Like, this is my chef's kiss, love it. This is the deep work. And this is what I think every high performing woman should do, just to go on that deep journey within herself. So I'm going to put the link there below. Everything that I've talked about today is the lens that I bring to all of my work. So whether you do the one-off session like the energy reboot or frequency recalibration session, or you do the deep, 3-month thing with the quantum reset, the lens is the same. It's just the length of time or level of support that you're getting. So this is the work that I do. And this is the new paradigm, I believe, is the way that we as humans can eradicate dis-ease, chronic dis-ease in the body. This is it. It's the feminine-led healing. I don't think it happens in the current paradigm. I don't think that the chronic disease and the chronic illness and the really poor quality of life and health, that especially in the Western world, and I mean, at least here in America, I can't speak for the rest of the Western world. I don't see that happening in the current paradigm, even the current paradigm of holistic healing. I just feel like there are a lot of good things in the holistic healing world, but I find that more and more there's just a lot of toxic perspectives and toxic mindset and toxic things that are happening that are leaving so much of what I talked about today out. And I just don't see us getting to where we would like to be with our health and our wellness and our well-being, our mental health, our emotional health, our physical health, all of that on the trajectory that we're on in the holistic world, in the way we're doing the current paradigm that we're doing now. I mean, the conventional medical world is one thing, but the current paradigm of the holistic health world is another thing. And I think that so much of it is still just not serving women and how you as a woman deserve to be served and how you deserve to feel and experience who you are at home in your body. I hope all of this lands for you. Check the links in the show notes if you want to dive deeper with me, and I'll see you next time.